I'm Jessica Peresta, host of the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the High Tech Podcast. This is your host, William Illingworth, joined by my fellow host, Joshua R. Swartz.
Oh, you did the full name. That's fun. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's great. You nailed the intro. We came in. I think you found our wording finally, maybe, sort of.
No, maybe. I didn't go too fast. We just recorded an outro, folks, and I sped through it like I was on.
Ironically, for an episode that comes after this one, that's not confusing at all. But it's fine.
You'll be able to tell when you see this background in a future episode. You'll know that both of those things happened tonight.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hey, I'm thankful for you, my friend. You didn't know, but you've sports balled. You unintentionally have participated in the sports ball.
How?
It is
How
October.
Did I sports ball? Okay.
And in Philadelphia, we call this Red October because the Phillies are in the playoffs.
Now? Yeah, okay.
They're in the playoffs, and it's Red October. So I'm wearing red. You're wearing red. You're a Phillies fan tonight. You didn't even know it. Hold on.
It's burgundy.
It's red.
It's some may call it purple, depending on the color.
Oh, no. I know. That's a wonderful work hoodie you got there, though.
It is. We'll leave that one for a later episode where
where we've already had this conversation.
We've already had this conversation. Yeah, exactly. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I don't know. I feel like I had to say that. I don't know. We're 122 episodes in, and we still have not nailed the High Tech Podcast intro.
That's the shtick now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I feel like our intro is just a thing.
I had one more point on the Red October, though, and the red. Okay. So, this is Philadelphia support. I'm glad. Okay. Thank you for being, you don't care, but thank you for supporting me. You're supporting Phillies by supporting me.
It was about you. Yes, it was.
Yeah. But we also brought the red because tonight's a roastery and everything's going to be on fire.
Ah, there we go. I can get behind that. That is definitely why I wore red. It was planned.
There it is.
It was all part of the strategy. I woke up this morning and said, roastery this evening. I must wear red.
Let me get my red work hoodie and roast.
I'm gonna grab my red work hoodie. I'm gonna go roast some coffee beans, and then I'm gonna roast a coworker, and then I don't know. I didn't do any of those things today. I did not.
And then we're gonna roast Microsoft. Wait, they wouldn't do that. Oh yes, we will.
Yes, we will, and I will roast them so hard.
This roastery, as we often done in the past, maybe we've done this only a couple times. I don't know. But roasteries are where we pick something we don't usually like and we just tear it apart a little bit. But it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's I like the way you've described this before. It's like we take off our ties that we clearly wear every episode, and then we kind of, we lean back, next to the fireplace. And we talk about something that we might use a lot and we might not totally hate, but there's just some stuff about it that's annoying and we want to let it out. We want to share with the world. Yeah. We're normally so positive on this podcast. We want to be an uplifting. Go ahead. I was just saying we're normally an uplifting, positive podcast that doesn't tear things down, but sometimes things need to be torn down to remember they're not perfect, and
it's okay to criticize things that you love, like my 2018 Nissan Rogue, right? This is my car.
Okay. Did you have a Rogue?
My car. No, this isn't Baldur's Gate. I didn't pick a character. It's not a D&D thing. Yeah. No, my 2018 Nissan Rogue, fantastic car. I love everything about that car, except the dash. The dash, at certain angles of light in the day, you just can't see the screen, and it's shiny, so it shines light in your eyes as a driver. That is the worst possible thing you could have in a vehicle, is shiny things that shine light in drivers' eyes. That is dumb. It is stupid. Nissan, get your stuff together, right? But I love my car. I absolutely love my car. So Microsoft 365, the world really wouldn't spin without it, except it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
It really
I mean, it does. And I would
nice with
argue
others.
the world would spin without it. We've got some other alternatives. But like
Nowadays,
they are kind of through everything, you know? And so yeah, this is like we're giving Microsoft the treatment we would give Will's car, you know? It's got some stuff that's good about it. It's not perfect. This is not a Josh's car situation, right? It's not like my Honda Fit where like I hate everything about it but one thing, you know? It's and that's basically that it drives. So that's like the only thing I don't hate about it.
I bet you like that it's small with your parking space.
It is true. Okay, you found two things. So you know what? This is about mine. This is the same thing. No, I'm just joking. So let's talk about Microsoft here. So several of you K-12 people listening to our podcast, you're gonna be like, I don't use Microsoft. I use Google. I know. Okay.
Good for you. You're so fortunate.
Good for you. Although that's not always an assumed thing. Microsoft, I think, has gotten their way into K-12 too more than not. Yeah. But like Microsoft is used everywhere. I work at a Microsoft institution. That Microsoft is our main thing. Will worked at that institution. He's been in institutions where they use both. Microsoft, I think,
corporation uses both.
Corporation uses both, right? So Microsoft is used all over the place. And here's the thing. Let's just go through our top couple things that we wish was better about Microsoft and our frustrations, okay? And let's see if everybody can get along with me, okay? So, first issue, logging in, okay? The start. I was just talking about this with a coworker today. So Microsoft has this thing called single sign-on. It's this thing that you all experience when you log into one thing on Microsoft. It logs you in on everything. Except it doesn't half the time. Okay.
Yep.
We use it and it's supposed to log our students both into Canvas and their Microsoft tools and Zoom. You know what it doesn't do? That. Okay? It never logs them in consistently across those areas. And it just frustrates me. And people might say, you know what, Josh, I hear you. But, you know, sometimes things just don't work perfectly. You're right. But you know what doesn't have that problem? My Google login. You know when my Google login doesn't log me in? Never. It never happens.
It's actually hard to log out of Google.
Like,
once you're
Google
in, you're
sometimes has the opposite problem. But like, it's always been a frustration of mine. And especially when you have multiple accounts. Microsoft just does not do that well. Like I
have a laptop,
and currently I always struggle to get in to
Microsoft
because it's always just like, but you have two accounts, and I'm like, I know, I have 7 Google ones. You know what Google never does? Get angry at me for the 7 accounts.
Having 7 Googles.
I also have 12 other fake ones that I use to get subscriptions, but I'm still no problem with those.
Don't know what you're talking about. My experience with like Microsoft in recent times is that, like I said, I have both at work and our primary is Google. So like the fact that everything's primary Google and then like sometimes I use some Microsoft stuff, I'm like never logged into Microsoft. But then when I go to log in, it doesn't just work. Like I was trying to use Excel yesterday and this drives me nuts. So I'm logged out right now. You know, I just happen to be in a season of logged outedness. I go to use Excel and it pops up a screen. It's like, would you like to activate a trial? No. Are you sure you want to use this in view only mode? Yes. Do you want to use like your product key now? Skip. Maybe you should log in. No. View only mode? Yes. And then I can start using the Excel spreadsheet. Like I'm like, if I tried to log in because I'm finally tired of all those pop-ups because I've been logged out, and then I tried to log in and it just didn't work. And I got the pop-up still. And I'm like, I know I have a license. My work gave me a license. I have a license, guys. Just let me in.
Yes. And like, before any of you are like, this is just user error, Will and I are the ones who help the people with user error. This is not user error. This is Microsoft being dumb. And it is my opinion. Now, really, if I'm being appropriate, I should give you the second option. But I'm going to skip over you for a second. I'm going to give another option, and we'll go for it. And then you can take it.
Go for it.
My second biggest gripe with Microsoft, okay? Why is Microsoft Word on my computer different than Microsoft Word online? Why?
I can't.
I don't understand. The formatting is different. I copy something from Word on my computer and I put it into Word Online, and it somehow becomes a different document. Like, I don't.
It metamorphosizes into something completely different.
The other day, I copied something out of a Word document. Okay, I pasted it into Notion so it would fix it, and then I copied it out of Notion and put it into Word Online so that the formatting would hold.
Oh gosh.
I just don't understand why this needs to be this way. I bust on Microsoft about this because it's in their DNA. Like, do you ever notice that, like, they release things and they make different versions of the things? Like, Teams has a Teams Home and a Teams Enterprise, and they look different. Why?
I love this episode already. You're so incredulous, and it's so right. Here's one. Here's a Microsoft thing. It's not Microsoft 365, but here's a Microsoft thing that pisses me off, right? I have a Windows 10 desktop, and I have a new laptop with Windows 11. I've been resisting the 11 upgrade on my desktop because it's a gaming PC, and anytime you switch your operating system on a gaming PC, you just expect terror. I just don't want to do it. On Windows 10, there's a keyboard command, Control K. No, Windows K. Sorry, Windows button K. It opens up Bluetooth tools. It pulls a little dock out, and you can click connect to a Bluetooth peripheral. That's really convenient. It's really nice. On Windows 11, if you hit Windows K, it pulls up casting, screencasting. Do you know what I don't do every day? Cast something. You know what I do every day? Use Bluetooth peripherals. Who made that decision? Who made that decision?
Did they change the shortcut? Is it a different shortcut now? Have you looked it up?
I don't. So all right. That's fair. That's fair. What I looked up was why did Microsoft change the thing, and I found Reddit threads. Okay, I found Reddit threads on this subject. Yep, it's very intentional. I found Reddit threads where people are complaining about this, and all of them were saying, like, literally the only thing you can do anymore is like bookmark the Bluetooth settings thing to your taskbar. So that's what I did. I did not just Google then like Windows 11 Bluetooth shortcut. I could have Googled that. I didn't Google that. I was very upset. So I Googled my frustrations and found people much like me who were also frustrated. But that's a Microsoft thing, right? Let's take something that's useful, managing my Bluetooth peripherals, which I do on a daily basis, and switch it out for something that's useless. Screencasting. I'm on a laptop. What am I going to like? Not even if I wanted to functionally screencast all the time with my laptop to another device, it never works. Why would I do that? Why would I screencast to get something done, right? If I'm going to a conference center, it's like, oh, I need to send up my conference. I want to put my presentation on this big screen. Let me cast it. Said no one ever. It's not going to work. My casting from my podium up to the big screen in the conference room is not going to work. It's not going to be consistent. It's going to drop. It's going to have have an Apple TV and not, generic like street casting support. Like just the idea that someone in design, in dev, just went, let's switch out that daily use feature Bluetooth for casting. That's going to be great.
I'm confident.
Come on.
There's a running joke I've shared on the podcast before that shows up in my work environment, which is that, like, we talked about this, that the guy who designed rubrics at Canvas, we call him Rubric Guy, and we think we think he just like is the cousin of the owner of Instructor. Like, they gave him a job and he got rubrics and he did it incredibly poorly. Our running joke is that he goes to other companies, and I'm convinced that like Microsoft contracts out to him on a regular basis for decisions. That's my personal opinion.
Rubric,
it's like
I changed this feature.
My thing with Microsoft is I like to bust on them because they make it easy. They like make weird decisions about things, or they do things inconsistently. One of my other big underlying gripes with Microsoft Office 365 is that they become so focused with integrating their software and their tools across their whole ecosystem of Microsoft that they forget to make the tool actually good. That's my personal.
Yeah, you can sign into 36 different apps and use 2 of them.
Yes, and like I know I'm gonna get torn apart for this because some people really like Microsoft. We've had people on the podcast who are huge Microsoft fans, and I don't disagree. Like for instance, like OneNote, I like the tool, it works, but then it does weird stuff, like randomly shares the entire notebook with people when you meant to do one link, or like or like you just can't do normal things in OneNote. Microsoft Word Online, I'm just gonna be blunt, not anywhere close to being as good as Google Docs, and like not anywhere close to being Notion. Like they're not, and it's because they're so focused on how their tool functions with the rest of everything else, they forget to like build in the features that work well in that software. That's one of my gripes with Teams. Now they're trying to improve Teams, I will admit that, but one of my gripes with Teams is they're so busy about integrating everything else in, they don't think about the actual good experience of it. And so you get something that kind of feels sort of put together, like for instance, SharePoint, okay, which is just basically OneDrive. I still don't understand the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive, other than we have 2 names and 2 whatever. SharePoint, okay, I link that into our project management software Basecamp, and it works great. I put it into Teams, and it somehow breaks. Like, how does that happen?
It's your own product.
Like I don't understand. So like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff we use Microsoft for. There's a lot of stuff Microsoft Word as a tool, as a word processor, changed the way that word processing happened and all that stuff. So I don't want to like put them like there's tons of stuff we use Microsoft for, but this is the roastery.
This is the roastery.
There's some things they just don't do well, and one of it is integrating. They just don't, like, I remember they tried to release, I think it's still out there. Oh, what's it called? Their Notion alternative. They have a tool.
It was like Tile. Wasn't it Tile?
No, what was it? It was supposed to compete with Notion.
Block?
Look this up here real quick.
They named it something like because they wanted it to be like block-based graphic user interface that like you could drag and drop and click and add blocks of content. Like they wanted to be a block-based content editor.
Is it called Loop? It's called Loop. Right?
Maybe. I thought that was a video thing.
Maybe I'm wrong. Microsoft.
Try it.
Now try Microsoft Loop, a Notion competitor. That's what The Verge is saying.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Boo.
Loop. Let me open this up. Oh, here we go. And there's not even like a link for it. I can't even. Yeah, this is.
But totally it's probably something they bought. It's probably not even something they made.
Yeah. Well, like a couple things. Like this is also like not just Microsoft's problem. This is my gripe with big companies in general.
Oh
Google and Microsoft is you guys like. You find tools that are doing it better than you, and you make weird, crappier versions of them.
Or you buy them and kill them.
Or you buy them and then you kill them.
Like, rest in peace, Jamboard.
Exactly, right? Like, it's not my favorite, but yeah, they came out with Microsoft Loop, and Loop is a perfect example to me. And I know I'm like a huge Notion fan, so I'm also kind of a little, I'm biased. Let's just acknowledge
you're biased.
And I see you. But like it's just worse. They literally take everything that makes Notion amazing and they get rid of that, and they make like a weird version that like connects with Microsoft tools, and it's just like it's my gripe with some of the bigger tools, both Google and Microsoft. It's part of the reason I appreciate smaller tools like Notion or like Basecamp or like other softwares that we use, that they focus in on doing one thing really good, right? Like Notion focuses in on doing what they do as a tool well. Other softwares focus on doing what they do as a tool well. Microsoft and Google, this is becoming a dual roastery here for a hot second. My gripe is that there's such big platforms that their selling point is that they integrate all the things together. But they don't actually, they make a lot of mediocre things and not like really, really good things, in my opinion.
That's actually like a big problem I have with like just big business and SaaS, right? Like that's something I've complained about with learning management systems for a long time. Instead of just making a functional learning management system that does the core functions of learning management, they like somebody comes up with an idea to like revolutionize it, and then try to put that product out there as the solution, but then they realize it's missing a few things, so they buy an app and they white label another app and they start to piece these things together. It's like, well, if you spend another $25,000 a year, you can get this feature in your platform that'll make it better. I'm like, I don't want to spend another $25,000 a year on my learning management system to get this new feature that should already be in the learning management system. Right? Like Microsoft in some ways pioneered this. Forgive me, I'm not a historian, but there might be somebody else who did it first. But the idea that there was the Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, probably others, but I'll stay there with those three just for sake of brevity, right? Like when you could buy Office and get those three platforms, that was kind of this idea of like getting a package that supported you to do a number of different tasks and work in an office, right? We're talking the 90s here when they're coming to these ideas. Today, it's like, what's your tech stack? Are you buying, tools that integrate with each other? Can you buy something like, and there's even platforms out there. I think Zoho is one of those that like tried to make an ecosystem of apps. So you could buy just a Zoho subscription and it would come with mail and Word and Sheets and all these different things to be like a Microsoft competitor. They started that way, but like Microsoft is just like Teams is Skype, which was also, something else. They named something else in the middle. Like they've bought Skype and then integrated it and then became Teams and it became something else.
Skype for Business was a thing for a while. It was
Skype for Business.
OneDrive
is SkyDrive. SkyDrive was a third party. They bought SkyDrive and integrated it and it became OneDrive. SharePoint predates SkyDrive as a Microsoft platform, I believe, if I understand my history. But that's why those two don't work together, because SkyDrive, OneDrive was a whole separate thing, and they already had SharePoint, which was designed for something else. Just make something that works. Stop buying up all these little things and trying to slap them together with some duct tape and calling it a day by giving them single sign-on that doesn't work. Huzzah!
It's
full package, buddy.
It's a full thing. It's
So then, all this to be said, all right, so we've got the single sign-on world that doesn't work. We got all these other cool disparate apps that don't work. And then the biggest thing about them all is that they're cloud and they should be cloud saving. It doesn't work. Like, there's so many layers at which it just falls apart, and like most days it works, but when it doesn't, I mean, cloud saving and auto saving is just like the bedrock of modern business. If I make a OneNote notebook and it does not save and I lose my work, you are dead to me. And I can't tell you how many times that has happened with OneNote.
Oh yeah, OneNote, that happens to me all the time.
Word is not great at like, I've had issues. You're so smart. I've had issues with Word where there's like version control things where like somebody got in and was working with me at the same time. We like lost part of the work the other person did. Like I've had those problems with Microsoft. You know where I haven't had those problems? Google. Like just come on,
I've
Microsoft.
Definitely not seen that happen on the Google platform or Notion that I have not left at this point. Like the it's different, and it's backtracking here for a hot second. I do want to make sure if we're gonna roast Microsoft, we don't miss probably the biggest failure in my opinion in Microsoft history, which is that
okay
in 2023,
the year of our Lord,
when somebody wants to video call, most of the time they now say, do you want to Zoom?
Yep.
You had the spectrum where what happened? Like Skype is the biggest confusing failure to me.
Yep.
That makes now Teams is coming back. Teams is starting to become a more predominant use case. I'm seeing more and more people use Teams. But
Skype became a verb. Skype, it's ironically, Google stayed. Google did it. You Google something. It became a verb. It's a household name.
Should have been the one to win, but it's fine.
I wish that today we were saying, did you Jeeves that? Did you ask Jeeves? I think that would have been great. But you should ask Jeeves. That would be. I still wish that one. But Twitter and tweeting, right? So Elon changed that to X and Xing. I don't know what the heck you X something, but and Skype. I mean, Skype was to video call someone. To Skype was to video call, and they killed the brand for Teams. Hey, could you Teams me that? No, I'm not gonna Teams you nothing. Like it just doesn't work. Okay. Hey, you want to jump on a Zoom? Yes, that works. I don't know why. It just does. It just does. But
it just does. It's
yeah.
probably because the software works too. Anyway, listen, Will and I are getting a little gripey. You know, we're messing with Microsoft.
Don't apologize. This is a roastery, bro.
This is what we should be doing for the roastery. If you want me to stop roasting you, Microsoft, let me log in and make Word on my computer and Word online the same. I don't care what excuses you give me. It's stupid. It's dumb.
If it's the same product, make it work the same way.
Yes.
Do you use Teams, like even daily? Do you a couple times a week? Do you use
daily?
Teams?
Like our institution uses Teams, but like, okay, here's the backstory that'll be interesting for the listeners. I know this will keep them awake, but we're gonna relay into it for a second. So, like, at our institution, okay, before people knew what chat was, before like COVID happened, our team needed it, and Teams sucked. So we didn't use Teams. We adopted you were using different softwares when you were on the team that I'm on, and then right before, towards the end of your time, we adopted Basecamp, and Basecamp has always stuck around. Okay, Basecamp has been the software we used. Our institution now uses Teams. After COVID happened, everybody needed to figure out a way to talk to each other, not just in email, so they all ran into Teams. We're like the only office that has another tool. So I have to be in Teams occasionally to chat with people, but out of passive aggression, I don't open Teams unless somebody messages me. So
good. So why I brought that up though is because the last times I was using Teams in like large group and like instead of Zoom, like if I just jump on a Teams with like you and me and somebody else, right, or with 3 people, like it's actually pretty easy. You can see everybody. But the last time I was in a Teams call with like more people than should be on a screen, it just does the dumbest thing where it tries to like resize people's boxes and like moves people around and stuff all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I hate the interface. Yeah, I hate the interface for their video.
What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. Just like literally, it would like the person who was talking would get bigger, it would expand and get bigger, and then the person who wasn't talking would get smaller, and like some people just drop off the screen if they weren't talking. I'm like, no. Do not move this stuff around all willy-nilly. Like this is just, it's distracting. There's no cognitive load theory behind this. It's just like Zoom is functional. Square. You can hide certain squares if you want to. You can say, no, don't show me people who don't have their cameras on. Like there's like on off toggles, but it's just like everybody sits in the grid and you know where they're going to be. Don't move them around, Teams.
And I will say, as we're bashing Teams right now, it's ironic because they just released a new Teams. Like there's a new Teams that just came out today. They're like new skinned version, and I've only seen early versions of it. I haven't actually got to test it yet, so I don't want to speak to it. But you know what their video conference software looks like? It now kind of looks like Zoom. Because I think along the way, and it's a classic Microsoft move, they thought, let's innovate the video call world. I know how we'll set ourselves apart. We won't do what's worked. We'll do something different.
Let's make a bad name for ourselves so people know us, and then we'll make it better.
It's like the guy, like, I know what worked, Bridges, but like, what if we did it differently? Like, what if we just like slingshotted people over the you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem, and it's a thing Microsoft does. It's what I like to bash about Microsoft. They like to like try. There's no happy medium. It's like either we don't update things or we do weird updates that did not need to happen.
Things we should not have done.
Nobody needed this. I didn't want this. Anyway.
So that's, I think that's a good roast. Is there anything else that's like stands up for you?
It was good. After the last couple of weeks I've had, I needed to get some tension out by burning up Microsoft a little bit,
Punching bag, a little exercise.
We just need to take a little break,
It's all right.
Get in the lab, so to speak, and
really work out in the lab, huh?
Yeah, just hash things
ready
out.
For that. Well done.
Yeah, just roast a beaker or two in the lab. I don't know how I'm bringing this together.
Works.
I'm nailing it, right? Like this is so seamless.
So our app this week. I would give Josh 11 chances at it, but that might be too many.
Oh,
our app this week is called 11 Labs, and it is a freemium tool. Start out with that. There is some costs if you want to get to unlimited or larger numbers and things, but for free, the hobby plan that they have on this tool is actually pretty slick. And what is it? What does it do? This is the AI moment. Okay. AI avatars, AI generated text, ChatGPT. 2023 is the year of AI. Ironically, it started in 22, right? But it caught the most steam as we come into 2023. 11 Labs is an AI voice generation software. So you can put in any number of scripts, any language, and it will generate a voice and speak it for you. Turn it into MP3s. You can download them, use them, that kind of thing. What's amazing is in this industry, the kind of the leading names right now, and some of those names are on our apps list for the future, but some of the leading names are very expensive. Holy smokes, are they expensive? I mean, you're just talking thousands of dollars to get started. 11 Labs has a free plan, a $1 a month plan, an $11 a month plan, a $99 a month plan. Like there are options with 11 Labs, and that's what's great. If you're a hobbyist, if you're trying to do something for a course, right, for educational purposes, jump in there, get the hobbyist version. You can use 10,000 characters per month. There's 3 custom voices, 28 languages.
Okay.
You could make some really good AI content for free. And that's on a monthly basis, right? So if you use your limit of stuff for the month, you gotta wait till the next month, you can create more content. Like that's generous in a free space. Or darn, ouch, you can spend $1 a month. You get 10 custom voices, 30,000 characters, and that's going to mean like text characters, like A, B, C, D. That's a character. Space is a character, right? Not like you get 30,000 voice characters. That's not what we mean. But it's really cheap. Like it's free or really cheap to get started today creating voiceover. You know, when I do my work in corporate, one of the things that people want is like AI avatars and like humans and all this other stuff. That stuff gets scary, gets janky at times, but like the voice modulation is so good today. And it's kind of bad too. It's kind of scary, but like if you needed voiceover and you didn't want to record it yourself, 11 Labs, done and doneer. Get started. Like I could see in the context of an online course or something like that. Like it is common. Josh and I both know like faculty do come and go. So Josh, like you guys have like courses that are masterized, quote unquote, or like that most of the content is set, and then a faculty member can tweak some or can add some later. In those courses, you don't necessarily want the voice to be a faculty member who's not teaching it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Depends. Some people have different perspectives on this, but you could use something like 11 Labs to make a generic voice that is the voice of the course. And so then a faculty member can step in and add their voice as an expert on something specific, but like the generic content that's in 90% of the course that's masterized from every person that teaches it could be consistent. Also a really cool activity for students, like get your students to make like commercials or narratives, or even let them like make a fake speech. One of the things that's really fun about like speech class and stuff is them learning to do speeches and to talk and stuff. You kind of got to do that with an AI voice too. You have to train it to pause. You have to train it to have an emphasis on that syllable. That'd be a fun activity to get your students to like use it to make content and to learn what it is to give an AI generated speech. Like, when you were in the freaking high school, would you think that'd be a thing, Josh? Yeah, let's do a class on AI generated voices. Like, this is crazy technology. It's crazy.
I was really just making up speeches on Loki. That was
like Loki, the Norse god.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was
doing. Of course. So it's not like it's not free all of it. The free one's pretty good. They call it hobbyist. I think that it's just a really great way to get into it. Again, the competitors are really expensive. This one lets you get started. Male, female voices, couple different ethnicities, the 28 languages. You can play around with some translation. They're coming up with a new feature. I'm seeing like a tagline here on their website: dubbing, automatic voice translation for your videos. So you could put your video in English, and it would dub it to French. It would dub it to another language, right? So that would be really powerful. I don't know what the costs and stuff are like on that, but it's a brand new feature, and they're continuing to kind of focus in that voice space for generative AI, and I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. It's one of those tools where, like you said, I was surprised how cheap it was, because a lot of its competitors, knowing, like Will and I being in this world of learning and development and like e-learning stuff, we know these AI voice generating tools because they're becoming much popular in our field, because voiceover stuff is hard to do, to get actual people to do it. And so like having AI in here helps people get some projects out there they probably wouldn't normally get out as quickly or do without it. So it is intriguing how cheap it is as a tool. That's why I think it's worth checking out, because it's just there's options for it. Like whether you're just a general educator, teaching, or you're somebody in Will and I's field where you're designing and building courses, like there are absolutely plenty of places that I think sometimes like AI voice could actually help and be an assistive tool to use for things. Whether you just want to create like voiceover content for written content that you have for a student, like that'd be a perfect example. Like maybe you have a student with vision disability, right? And they listen to things better, right? And you don't have time to record yourself speaking out an entire article that you want them to read, but you could just copy and paste that into a tool like 11 Labs and get generated audio reading it for them, right? So like that type of stuff is really cool. So like it gives you the ability to kind of bridge those gaps of accessibility and content creation in a way that you couldn't do before. And so that's why I think it's worth checking out. 11 Labs, it's pretty sweet tool.
They also have a cloning voice feature. I don't think that this is in the free one, but
you could upload like the copy your voice.
You could upload your voice into it.
You could upload
your voice into it and make a voice.
I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. You literally do like audio samples. It's like a minimum of 30 minutes of audio, and then it turns it over into your voice. We could just run the podcast from a script, buddy. What do you think about that?
You're telling me this right now. There's people out there doing like podcast advertisements where you record yourself doing a promo, and you can go in and edit the text and just change what you say, and the AI will change your voice.
We want that because it would be very easy to edit the podcast.
Yes, it exists. It's out there. Some podcast tools use it, but 11 Labs apparently has it. I personally think it's a little creepy.
It's very creepy.
My vibe for sure. I'm sure if I find a good use for it, I'll put aside that creepiness in my values and I'll end up using it. But it's cool.
As you should.
I think in general, it's accessible. That type of tool, audio AI generation, like AI generated audio, till recently hasn't been very accessible to people. So that's what I think is cool about in this case, is that it's not that expensive, which makes it a more accessible resource that other tools have not been in the past. So that's why like my push would be, I think it's worth checking out.
You want to check it out, you can head over to 11labs.io. So it's not 11 LABS, but the word 11 labs labs.io. That'll be on our episode page. You can go to hightechpod.us to get to that information, etc. But share this around. We want to make sure folks are trying to get a chance to use this, because like if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I've got really cool ideas, I want to get into this AI movement, some things are harder to do than others. This is easy. Sign up, start with for free. Done. No barriers. You can just get going with it. I don't really have anything else on this. I don't know if you have a big hit, but I did want to, before we go to complete conclusion, just put out a teaser bumper there to make sure to look out for the Behind the Mic podcast on the Education Podcast Network. Behind the Mic is live. Currently, as we're recording, the first 3 episodes are out. So Chris has released Behind the Mic with Transparency in Teaching. That's another podcast on the network. Behind the Mic with Leading Out of the Woods, and Behind the Mic with My EdTech Life, Alfonso Mendoza. Fonz is a good friend. Going to be on his podcast in the near future. So we have an episode coming out on Behind the Mic in the near future. Make sure to check out that conversation, because it's like, how did we get started? How do we do our podcast? And so each of these podcasters are coming on the Behind the Mic podcast and talking about that. Make sure you check that out at edupodcastnetwork.com. Boom.
Nailed it.
That's the episode.
Look at that little promo.
Yeah.
We should have got AI to generate that. That would have been.
Oh my gosh!
Or did we?
You would only know if you were watching the YouTube video where you can see whether or not I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But would you know if it's really me or am I an avatar?
Or is Will an AI? I like your perception of what you think AIs look like the way you're just like
a twitch,
like head twitch.
I work with AI avatars all the time. Okay, they do weird things. Okay. It's weird. I don't like it.
You've got your hands up though, right? Most AI.
That's true. Yeah. I'm real, guys.
Avatars are like, yeah, talking that way. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. If you're confused what we're doing, this is why you should look at YouTube, because like there's great stuff on there. You don't want to miss it. Anyway, okay, that is 11 Labs and a full breakdown of why Microsoft sucks. On our next episode, on our next episode, this has been episode 122, and next episode will be 123. I know that's a surprise, but that's how numbers work. We will be talking about what makes a good educational leader or admin. I know the question everybody's been keeping them up at night. I know. Don't worry, the High Tech Podcast is going to address it. We might get a little spicy in this episode. We haven't recorded this one yet, and I'm intrigued of what this is going to be like. So check that out. And then also we will be talking about ID Assist, the Chrome extension tool. It is an AI tool that we have highlighted on the podcast, not actually in our episodes, but in some of our external clips we've done and promos we were doing during the opening AI series. But we want to talk about it more in detail. I've looked at it more now. Will has looked at it as well. We want to give you a little rundown of how we think it could be useful, why it's a cool tool, and why you should check it out. Just a reminder, you can find us on Twitter and YouTube at High Tech Podcast is the handle. You can find us on other social media platforms like Instagram or Threads that I don't think we've been posting to. I don't know. Are you posting to Threads?
No. Sometimes.
Okay. Cool.
No, not Threads. Sometimes the Instagram.
Okay, sometimes the Instagram. And that's the High Tech Podcast? High Tech
at
Pod?
High Tech Pod.
At High Tech Pod. There we go.
Yes, our two handles are High Tech Podcast or High Tech Pod. It depends on whether they've been taken or not.
Yeah. Or at Steve Miletto. No,
yeah.
That's a later episode. That'll be funnier then. Email us. You can also email us at inbox@hightechpod.us. If you're interested in being on the podcast, please reach out to us. We have a process for you joining the podcast and coming on, and we'd love to have more guests. We love people joining and talking about things. If you disagree with our opinions of Microsoft, you can let us know and by emailing us, and we'll open it, and then we probably won't do much with it from there, but you can let us know if you disagree with us.
Love it.
If you want to be on the podcast to talk about how much you love Microsoft, that's fine. We're equal opportunists. You can jump on, but you can hit us up at inbox@hightechpod.us to do that. Also, remember, we have a website, hightechpod.us. Go check out that website. Every episode we post has an episode page with fun little things in it. Tips on how to use the tools we talk about, pictures of our guests, free money. That's not true. That's not there. Ever.
What?
Gosh. I know. So you can check us out at hightechpod.us. Thank you again for joining us for another week as we continue to learn what it looks like to not use Microsoft.
Nailed it.
To harness technology in the classroom, whether online or in person. See ya.
See ya.